All right. Hey, welcome to the second OEN Pub Talk of 2023, y'all. There's still plenty of room up here at the top. There's seating up here for anybody that's trickling in. And you guys are welcome throughout the rest of the panel to get up and go get drinks, get food. Did everybody know that there's food now? There's food. So please feel free to go do that throughout. Thank you all for being here. These pub talks are, by the way, I'm Alex, for those of you who don't know me. Hey, I'm the relationship specialist at OEN. I just had my 2-year anniversary working at OEN. Thank you. But this is one of the favorite parts of my job is these events, these moments that we gather people together. This community is the best part. And it's because this is where the magic happens. This is what it's all about. Our goal, our mission is to help connect entrepreneurs to the resources that help them grow. And the resources are y'all. It's everything that every individual in this room offers and contributes. And we all are better when we help each other. So thank you so much for being here. It makes a difference for the person that's coming to this room. So I have some other people I really want to thank. Do we have any OEN board members in the room? Hey, Scott Sandler, Mike Getz, Sierra Bressler in the house. Hey, there you are. Thank you so much for all that you contribute. These people contribute a lot behind the scenes and help make the work that we do possible. The OEN team is just 3 people. It's me, Kara, and Riley. So we need all the help we can get. So thank you, board of directors. I also want to thank all of our food and beverage contributors to this evening. We have, yeah. And we have a board member joining us from Ben, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. Everybody say hey. And we also have John Williams from Ashland. Hey, John. That's nice. So, and Lipset zooming from out of town. Hey, Aaron. So this is great. So actually, we also just started live streaming pub talks for the first time starting this year at our last pub talk. So this is a way that we are able to include people from all across the state. We are Oregon Entrepreneurs Network, not just Portland Entrepreneurs Network. So we've been making an effort to be more inclusive. Okay. I also want to thank our food and beverage partners, which include Spork Bites, who helps us prepare food, Queen of Hearts for the delicious nibbles, the lovely salad dressing featuring the mighty hemp seed, right? Superfood, am I right? Also Blue Bus Kombucha, Miru Vodka, Ninkazi Brewing, Stoller Vineyards, Erath Winery, and Hence Family Farm for all the beverages. So like I said, feel free to grab food and drinks throughout the event. Also, a special thank you to all of our general sponsors. Look at this. Look at that. Troop. So like I said, we're a small team. It takes a lot of support to help us be able to do all of this. So I'm so appreciative of our general sponsors who literally make all of our events possible. And I will keep thanking them in every possible opportunity because it makes a big difference. Thank you. I also want to thank the homie Veronica Jans at Business Laid Bare for being a part of all of our pub talks this year as a supporting sponsor. Where are you, Veronica? There she goes. Look how cute. She is your go-to girl for operations consulting. So hit her up if that's your thing you need right now. Also, we are super excited to have Oregon Department of Agriculture. They are sponsoring 3 of our pub talks this year as for March, April, and June. Their support allows us to host local food and beverage entrepreneurs like these folks behind me here, which is a really special part of this year. We wanted to be able to incorporate local food and beverage entrepreneurs and keep it special for each of these pub talks. So that's all due to ODA. Thank you so much. And they're doing a really great work right now to support the entrepreneurial ecosystem, including building an interactive resource map for food and beverage entrepreneurs. So here's the QR code for you to access the ODA Food and Beverage Maker Map and check it out. And we're not even close to last. And then our venue host, Fresh Consulting. This space is amazing. Thank you. Do you want to say anything, John?
I'll take the opportunity. All right, Refresh Consulting. I've been told because we do strategy, design, software, and hardware that it's hard to understand what we do. So I'm going to tell you one thing we did recently in one of those areas, and then come back next time and I'll tell you another one. So strategy, a large big box retail warehouse type store place wanted to know, should we and how would we have people input credit card numbers over the phone? So that's the strategy. It's a research question. Ask ourselves what consumers want, how you implement it, why this microphone is being weird, and then give them recommendations so they can make business decisions to help them with innovation. That's strategy. We also do design, software, and hardware. Come back next time.
To be continued. I like it. Intrigue. Thank you, John. And also, a very special shout out to our buddy Mike Getz with Newmark. Newmark, where are you, Mike? I just saw you. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Look at shine, bow, do a cute thing. You want to say something? So Newmark, they're goats. They're our series sponsor for the Pub Talks and for the OEN Awards. Ooh, more intrigue. Look forward to that. What do you want to say?
Thank you all so much. I do commercial real estate, help companies find office space. I just want to say that I want to reiterate the point that Alex made, is that OEN puts on all these great events for us, and they're only 3 people. So it's Kara, Alex, Riley. Let's give a hand for OEN for putting on these events. And I think what's great about this room is it's a ton of entrepreneurs, but it's also a ton of people that are kind of connected in the business community. So you got people like Julie Reed over at Miller Nash, who does patent law. You got Ann McQuestion over at Perkins Coie. Where's Alex with KBF? He'll help you set up your business right there. And so there are valuable resources in the room, and that's kind of one of the reasons that OEN throws these events. So thank you to all you entrepreneurs for being just crazy people, but also coming out and supporting these events. So thank you all. So great to see everybody tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Oh, don't you love Mike? Okay. I also want to thank our session hosts for tonight. This panel conversation is hosted by VertueLab. This is one of the panel conversations I'm most excited about this year, is how to build a business of impact, and VertueLab does amazing work to that end. So thank you so much to Joe Brickman and Juan Barraza, who is our moderator for tonight, for spearheading our partnership. And okay, we're getting close. Before we head into the pitches, I'd like to share a survey through the Portland Engagement Project that you can find at this QR code. Portland is updating its design for how it communicates with the public, such as how to get info about a business permit or the city taxes for entrepreneurs, which are really confusing and hard to figure out. Who has experienced that? Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Yeah. So it's really important that our entrepreneurial community has a voice in this. OEN board member Sierra Pressler, what up? Has postcards with additional information. I believe I saw them on the front. Yeah, hit her up for more information about that, and it'll be available after the event to share more details. Okay, now for one of my favorite parts of these pub talks is, these papers, is our 5-minute pitches. So we have 2 founders here tonight to talk about their companies. It's a chance for entrepreneurs to share their business with the community, maybe ask us for some stuff, calls to actions. And we have 2 great companies pitching tonight. The first one up is Cascadia Carbon, and we have Alex Wick to represent. Come on up. Oh, it looks like it's a duo. All right.
My name is Anya Wick. The first night I met my husband, he told me he was going to put trees on the moon. I told him never to repeat that in any professional setting, which is why I am talking about Cascadia Carbon today. What did pique my interest was the passion he showed for something most of you have growing in your yards. Who has a tree? Okay, great. What kind of tree do you have? How long ago was it planted? 5, 6 years. I think it's still getting bigger, right? Okay. Who else raised their hand? Yeah. Country you have.
I have a 30-acre farm, 1,000 trees.
Okay. Have you sold the carbon sequestered by your trees to a corporation vying to become neutral or negative yet? Why not? The voluntary carbon markets existed since the 1970s. Why is no one partaking in this? Until Cascadia Carbon created the carbon offset decentralized exchange, which is the first platform for individuals to upload metrics of the carbon sequesters they already own and trade the value of those for corporations who are trying to balance out the carbon they're putting into the atmosphere. It's exciting, right? It takes 2 photos of your tree, some location input, and for you to check in on it in a year or so, because these trees are growing at different rates, meaning the value of the carbon they're sequestering is growing at a different rate and different metrics for each one. But that's all it is. It's a simple project. Right now, we have exceeded the ability to meet the demand we're getting for carbonauts who want to do this with their own trees and keep planting and planting more. I'm going to pass it off to our founder, my husband, get into the nitty-gritties. Thank you for being here. We're really excited to get this into the next stages.
So I saw a lot of you raise your hands when Anya asked if you have a tree. And basically here's how it works. You have to upload 2 photos, a precise location. There's a couple other minimum requirements on the screen. But basically the idea is we then act as an MRV provider for individuals with 1 tree, 10 trees, 100 trees. Of course, you can get paid out. These offsets are fractional ton offsets. So 1 codex is 1 kilogram year of carbon. So 1,000 codex equals 1 ton of carbon.
I would interject and remind you that that makes Codex the only currency in the world right now tied to a physical asset. But
Thank you.
I digress. Back to Alex.
Yeah. And so you have several options after you tokenize your trade. One is you can cash out immediately. That's what we don't want you to do. You're going to earn less of the total value because your tree obviously grows over time. But you can also hold these offset certificates, and under the IRA, you can actually use them to claim carbon dioxide removal credits while you hold these offsets. And then we, of course, have the decentralized exchange marketplace. We're speaking with several, more than several, a whole bunch of corporations who are interested in purchasing these offsets simply because the current demand for offsets exceeds the supply by about 4 to 1. And
Half of those offsets have been excluded from the market by excluding homeowners and individuals.
And so we geotag these offsets. The only requirement for you guys, if you do upload your tree, is to upload new photos every year. That encourages additionality, and it shows that the tree is still alive and grow. We're also working to launch an enterprise program. So campuses like Nike with large amounts of forest on them could actually tokenize their forests or their trees and reduce their carbon offsetting obligation. And so it's a really unique combination of blockchain, Web3, crypto, and then this centuries-old forestry technique of single tree selection, which uses essentially volumetric equations. They're called paper models to determine the amount of carbon pulled from the atmosphere by each tree every year.
All that means is, as opposed to the trees that are currently being sold as offsets, where we might have one drone fly over a swath of forest without doing anything to examine if those offsets are actually still growing and sequestering from the carbon in the atmosphere. When we do it one by one, we know that it's real, we know that it's valid.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? Thank you. There's questions at the end? At the end. Hold your questions. Okay, thank you so much. Next, we have Pallavi from Detox. Please come on up, Pallavi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Am I audible? So today I'm on one mission, which is helping you get table aware in 5 minutes. Let's see if I can do it with Detox. So what is Detox? Oops, right here. These are single-use disposable tableware made from fallen palm leaves. Yes, you heard me correct, made from leaves. That is what I do. And I'm on one mission, which is I want to empower everybody with their sustainable dining experience, which is if I can replace your paper plate or your plastic plate, that is what I want to do, one plate at a time. And our values, of course, I started Detox going back to my cultural root of being born in India, eating on banana leaves as I was a kid, and then bringing that concept to the Western world, to my own home first, because I became a parent, a very aware one. And I was like, how can my daughters enjoy this experience every day at home? And that's when I started Detox with these 3 things in mind: sustainability, usability, and community. And how do I develop a community? Is I manufacture these products in India because my raw material is in India. These are fallen areca palm farms. Their main purpose is to produce areca nuts. Once the nuts are consumed, the leaves fall, and that is my jackpot, or whatever you say. And that's how the Indian food is served right there. And again, why the word detox? Because this is a cleansing journey using fallen palm leaves, hence the word detox with a non-standardized spelling, DTOCS. Our vision, again, is you should have a choice. It's all about having a choice. Not everybody's on the same journey of sustainability, which is okay. And whenever you're ready, I'm your girl. So grab my card at the end, because you will need me at some point of time. Maybe you're already there, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but whenever, I'm your girl. And yeah, this is about choices. And again, you know why? Because this problem exists. The numbers keep rising every year, and that is the truth. Do they look fancy here? Anybody would use them in their wedding or birthday parties? In the microwave? Would they compost? Are they holding enough of your stuff in the refrigerator and microwave? And still, you can hand wash them and reuse them? Yes, maybe up to a certain point, but what all can you do with these? The products that I make. Fantastic looking, something you can hand wash. That's something I have done with my daughters. 30 days, 30 day, one dish, 30 day. Don't take my word for it. Go ahead and try. Oops. Oh, right there. Okay.
It's a white button. It's very easy to do. There's a button there.
The first one?
I don't know which one it is on that one, but.
Okay, can I get some help, please? Technicality? I am sorry. All the way. Okay, this is recap, everybody. Pay attention, pay attention.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sorry. Right there. Yes, and next, just one time. Okay, it didn't. Right there. Target market, again, plastics, talking about all kind of so-called compostables, bagasse, corn, sugar. Do they really compost? Really not, because they have fibers, they have mixes. Here, this is a leaf compost in 3 months, and talking conservatively, 0.1% of single use. We can capture that market. Yes, that's what I'm behind. And I'll show you how I'm going to do it. And again, why to support me? All here. COVID certified, women-owned, minority, gives back to nonprofits. If you're a nonprofit here, talk to me. We have a giving back to you kind of program, been on Shark Tank twice, but never aired. Sorry about that. How are we really different? Smooth edges, very nicely stacked. And I will ask my friend to pass that set to everybody. You guys can take a look. Unfortunately, you can't feel them because they are wrapped in a recycled wrap, but this is how they look. This is all our offerings. What all do we provide? And different shapes. Who are our clients? Weddings, caterers, charcuterie boards, restaurants, direct to consumer, whoever wants to have a fantastic weekend sipping on that fine wine and not doing dishes. Please, I'm your girl again, call me. Our selling channels, mainly online, Amazon, Etsy, Walmart, our website directly, that's what I love. And market of choice. Just last year, all 11 stores across Oregon. Thank you. A very small team, 3 of us, because I have experience in logistics and warehousing for the last 10 years. I worked for a private company, so I knew how to ship stuff from point A to point B. I just had to figure out what my product is going to be. And that's when I went down to my childhood. My kids are the brand ambassadors because we practice every day what we preach at home. Like I said, 30-day challenges, doing everything in our facility. Go to our Instagram, we'll show you how we make the products, and we do it ourselves with our hands. And our general manager who's in India, because for me, that relationship with my suppliers is very important. My ask today, I want the plates to reach every household with ease, accessibility, and readily availability. So I want to help getting on shelves because I'm not there yet. Online, yes, you'll find me everywhere, but not on shelves. So I need your help for that. I can't do it. I'm too small. Just been in the business 4 years. And let's do this one plate at a time together. So that is my one ask. And I hope you will support my social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Pallavi. Oh, doesn't that just give you so much hope? I love this pub talk. Then we're just getting started. Okay, wow. Okay, so now it's time. I'm going to welcome up our moderator for this evening, Juan Barraza from VertueLab. Come on up, Juan.
Having been in this room since pre-pandemic, and it's amazing to see each one of you here. And what better way to get together than Air Month? If you don't know this Air Month, April 22nd, Air Day. My name is Juan Barraza. I'm the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at VertueLab. We're a nonprofit supporting climate tech entrepreneurs. So if you're looking for funding, support, mentors, and actually we write check. We have a impact fund that right now is a $5 million fund. We're raising a second fund for $25 million. So you want to talk to us, come see us. Joe Brickman over there, Leo, Wolf back there, and Nyah. Where are you, Nyah? Over here, come talk to us. We would love to get to connect with you. And thank you for being here. And what better topic, right? Air Month, impact, all these entrepreneurs presenting. And we have a great panel today for you. So let me invite our panelists today. Let's invite Tanya Barham from Community Energy Labs. Welcome, Tanya. Anna Madill from Avenue, coming in. And Nyah Zarate from Continuous Solutions. And this is a conversation. I'm going to pass the mic. We're going to share with you guys. This is a conversation. And where you're thinking about impact, we have gone through a lot in the last couple of years. I'm just getting comfortable. We have gone through a lot in the last couple of years, right? A pandemic, it's an eternal winter that doesn't want to go away, climate change, forest fires, and it gets you thinking, right? What kind of legacy we want to leave for future generations? Where is our impact? And then we start listening a lot of conversation around social impact. And as a business owners, when you start a company, you are thinking, I want to be a good steward of the resources that I have around me, a good neighbor, being able to utilize to the maximum the limited resources we have and how we can minimize our waste. So I will have to start with Tanya and then Anna and Nyah. Tell us about your business. How have you been in business and what are your secret sauce right now? What is the one thing you're working on?
Is this on? Oh, hey. VertueLab didn't ask me to say this, but I just want to start out by saying I'm like a straight up hardcore VertueLab stan. So if you are thinking about starting a climate tech company, you need to see one of these VertueLab folks. If it weren't for all of you, I'd be like, I don't know, shivering in a fetal position somewhere. True believers from the very minute I started, when everybody dismissed me as a crazy nut, when every angel told me I was a, no offense, Scott, I was a hopeless dreamer and it was never going to work. They were with me. They were ride or die. They are still with me today. Poor Leon spends many weekends on the phone just grinding out proposals with me, but I owe them a lot and they're just the best of the best. They're investors in my company. And they're really what every entrepreneur wants, which is magic wish fulfilling genie. Yes. I mean, okay. So first my pitch for VertueLab. So thank all of you very much. Community Energy Labs solves a problem that is frustrating, complex, and very expensive for a large segment of the built environment. Are you in a building and is it using energy? All right, that's our target market. But there's a segment of that market, schools, K through 12 schools, that have massive, massive energy bills. They spend more on energy than computers and textbooks combined. 30% of that is wasted, and those prices are going up exponentially for these schools as their utility tariffs become more complex. So we have a breakthrough technology that uses machine learning and AI to create clean, all-electric, self-driving buildings. That is what we do. What are we working on right now? Just trying to keep up with demand. So that is what we're working on. We're working with K through 12 school districts across the West Coast, about 20 districts. We have a waiting list for 60 different campuses to install our technology. We just had our first set of M&V results last fall, and a new set looking at heating season will come out this spring. And, you know, we're just in the scale up or die phase. So it's really, given the interest in climate right now, it's kind of our opportunity to screw up. So.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So does this one work? Super inspiring and also inspired by the pitches today. So shout out to all of you. I'm Anna Madill, the founder and CEO of Avenue. We are a B Corp, digital and social media agency here in Portland. I think we'll probably talk a little bit about B Corps, but essentially certified B corporations are triple bottom line businesses that focus on not just generating a profit, which is important for the sustainability of the business, but also on the environment and giving back to the community and to workers. And so our business model has really been built around impact and giving back to the community and to our employees. So the work we do is digital and social media marketing for purpose-driven companies. So that is certified B corporations, it's nonprofits, it's social impact companies, it's companies with a philanthropic or some sort of social impact component to their business model. And certified B corporations are a global movement of businesses using business as a force for good. And that's what we are amplifying at Avenue, is companies who are putting out something purposeful into the world, and we are helping them bring that to market, find their customers, and sell more, do more, have a greater impact. Something we're working on at Avenue, so a couple different things that we've been working on for the past couple of years, one of which is a digital bias research project and work in serving underserved entrepreneurs and business owners who are adversely impacted by algorithms online. So our team interacts with algorithms on a daily basis. That's what we do. And if you are all of you out here, startup, small business owners, you have probably encountered an algorithm in some way, shape, or form today, tomorrow, yesterday. And we've done a lot of research around all of those adverse impacts and are working to create content and resources to make the online success more accessible for small business owners. And the second thing, thank you, is the work that we're doing with women and BIPOC entrepreneurs in Oregon. And part of that is in partnership with Prosper Portland, but we're facilitating a digital marketing grant program that is giving away $3,000 grants to about 60 businesses, so a total of $180,000 of grant funds to small businesses, startups like you, and paired with digital marketing, mentorship, and business support so that they can take that to go and amplify their impact in their company.
Thank you.
All right, I'm really excited to be here, so thank you so much for having me. My name is Nyah, Zarate, and I'm the founder and CEO of Continuous Solutions. We are a research and development lab here in Portland, but we work with the US military as well as federal agencies to bring forth new and innovative products for the electrification revolution that we're going through. We work with US Navy for the electrification of all of its seacrafts, as well as the Army land-based vehicles. And we primarily focus our efforts on electric motors, electric motor drives, and other components to facilitate integration within these systems. Some of our projects that we're working on right now are, we have a super compact miniaturization powertrain for applications that are going to be distributed in Israel via India. We also have another product that is an inverter for what's called wide bandgap technology. That's a new frontier for high switching frequencies. So all of your phones have this wide bandgap technology, and we're trying to bring it to higher power systems. So in the future, maybe 10, 15 years out, we'll see much smaller motors everywhere. It's not just in our phone. And yeah, so these products that we're working on right now, it's a long cycle of product development, but we've been able to secure seed funding from the US government for this product development through the SBIR program. And we've been able to secure funding for about 6 different product developments.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And what is exciting is each one of them in their own companies, they're targeting a business model that has a direct impact in our communities and how we tell our stories and the future, things that Nyah cannot talk about, but we will be utilizing in years to come. And the question for our panelists, and we start with, you started your business and you decided to focus on energy, microgrid, being able to tell the story, being able to work and reduce the amount of energy in our K-12 schools. How do you decide that, how you connect that moral compass of having a business with impact when you choose a cause to support? It could be K-12 education, could be BIPOC entrepreneurs, could be optimizing electrification. How do you make that decision? This is where I want to put my efforts for my company.
Go ahead and start. So for me, I think and because I have a marketing background, the choice of what cause to support actually comes down to, who Avenue is as a company, what our core values are, and how we are folding in the work that we're doing, the causes that we support into the fabric of how the business operates, so that it's not just, we do marketing and digital marketing over here, and then over here on the side, we support this one-off cause. It's something that is built into the operations on a daily basis. And one of the things that I think is really cool about being a startup and thinking about this, I think just shout out to the entire audience for being here, because thinking about social impact and purpose and what you're putting out into the world, in addition to trying to make money or raise money and operate a business, is really hard. And that's why a lot of people just don't do it, because it takes a lot of work to make that sustainable in your business. And with the cause, so the question back to the cause is, for us, it's really been important to build that into the work we do on a daily basis. And that's why supporting the women and BIPOC entrepreneurs with digital marketing consulting, as well as grant funding, was an obvious choice for us, because that's the work we do. We live it and breathe it. We love those organizations and the people who have founded them and are running them. And it just is part of who we are. On the digital bias front, because we're interacting with algorithms on a daily basis, and I guess I'll take a step back and say, initially, we looked around and said, we're a digital marketing agency. What impact can we have? And there are just some really natural spaces for us to move and lean into, and that was one of them. The final, I'll just mention B Corp, certified B corporations, and I think that is a global movement of companies purposefully, intentionally choosing to make it more difficult for themselves to operate their business, maybe taking a hit on profit, of course, generating revenue and making profit, but it's companies who are thinking beyond just the bottom line into, what legacy do they want their company to leave behind? How many people in their community or, communities that the communities interact with, do they want to impact? And that is, I think, a more difficult question to ask and to answer.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. So definitely it was what legacy do I want to leave behind? But also more so the start of the company was much more driven in passion, and I would say naivety on how much was going to be involved in this process. But that passion really drove the mission of the company, and that mission then drove our customers and our kind of solidification of the team. And so really creating consensus within the team was very important from the very beginning. It was a mission-driven company, I would say, to begin with, to overlap and let us sit at the very center of government, academia, and industry. And I think that that's where a lot of change can be moved. When you have all three entities working together and in collaboration, and that's where you see the most, I don't know, I guess, orchestration of change, because you have stakeholders at the table. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to sit at the table and make these decisions about the energy future. And so that was my mission, and that's what I preached to the founding team. And this is kind of how we drive also new members that come on board. We really just sit down and reevaluate our core values based on the individual's values and how we can kind of braid it into, like you said, the fabric of the company.
Well, I have kind of a positive and a less positive motivation. And I know you're thinking the less positive one is climate change, and it's kind of that, but it's like, I'm being honest, like more visceral answers. Like the positive one is like the startups that you saw pitch earlier. I felt super energized. Like there's just this effervescence about listening to people, thinking about how to solve tough problems in a way that frankly to me sounds fun. Like that kind of, I've always said someday I'm going to do something the easy way just to prove that I can. So, you know, I hear people like tackling these big problems, and you guys make it sound fun. Like both of the teams that presented, I was like, I want to work for them. So I get really excited about, I'm like, maybe I'll just quit my company, which is, we have to execute now. I just want to like start up again. So, yeah, I always joke, like people like to do and they like to plan, but a lot of people don't like to do the plan. So the negative thing is not necessarily climate change. It's more visceral, like whoop, whoop. If you grew up in a totally dysfunctional family. Yeah. I am like deeply, deeply codependent. And so I mostly try to channel that into my plants, which I have a lot of. Yeah. And some of them are just drama queens, you know, they're real needy. So startups are like a lot like that. Like they're very needy. And I'm also just like obsessed with other people's problems, which is like really, you know, I spend a lot of money in therapy, and really all I've learned is to not make my bed every day and do the dishes all the time. But the thing that I would like to get to is like not being so obsessed with other people's problems. And I think that that is what brought me to entrepreneurship. I'll see just like a super gnarly problem, and I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Like, how would you solve that? And if I don't feel like I can, I also kind of like low key like to win everything. So if I don't think I can actually solve it or execute on it, it probably won't interest me. And I see this in my kid. I thought that this was like nurture, but I think it is just nature. Like from age 3, she's just like, I won't do anything if I can't be perfect. I'm like, I see you. So it's sort of a combination of like finding problems that I really shouldn't care about because they're totally somebody else's, but I just can't stop thinking about it because I'm codependent. And then really feeling like a strong conviction that I have some kind of unique and special talent that can solve that thing. It's led me into a lot of really unhealthy relationships, but it's also made me a really good entrepreneur.
No, I love it. I love it. Thank you. We're getting real, right? No, and thank you for that. Oftentimes we get into the panel and we talk about, I'm successful, I have a building, I just raised $1 million, 10 million, 20 employees. We don't talk about what happened to get there, right? We don't happen that there's a lot of ups and downs, and today you wake up like, yes, I presented OEN, and tomorrow, oh shit, the things didn't go as planned, right? And up and down. Oh, can we swear?
I was gonna say, we can talk about attachment styles, Tanya. Yeah. I feel like I'm anxious attached. I'll go all day. Yeah. So I think.
So pulling from that thread, how do you communicate? Because you work in very complex problems. Each one of you work in very unique industries, launching your companies, talk about energy savings. Somebody earlier talk about carbon sequestration, B Corp, EV motors. How you talk about something you cannot talk openly? How you communicate that social impact when you talk with your stakeholders? How do you navigate that communication to convey why it's so important that we support you, not just with dollars, but in the whole journey to get your company to market and commercialization?
Yeah, so I'll start. So primarily, I think it's all about collaboration. It's an extremely a huge hall of collaboration between multiple entities for us to be able to do what we're doing. And so a lot of our stakeholders, we have that human connection, and I think that that's so important and can be easily lost when you're in the rat race of entrepreneurship, or when you're in this, self-indulgent, I need to win, I need to do this my way, I need to have it go perfectly. But in reality, nothing will ever go perfectly, nothing will ever go as planned, and nothing will ever be on budget. That's what I've learned. So having the grace from your peers or from your ecosystem is really important, and that impact that I'm striving for is how do we build teams, and how do we build teams outside of the company and within the company to be effective and to do what we do best, each one of us individually. So a lot of our customers and stakeholders are they feel like team members. It's not so much of a trying to win them over or trying to sell them something that they don't have in their possession. It's really, we're in collaboration together. We're going to solve this problem together.
So in terms of communicating to our stakeholders, for us, it's been all about getting really clear on our purpose and our core values, and then how those core values show up in the day-to-day of our business. And so for us, employee well-being and wellness is a huge component to what we think about from just a company standpoint, from a B Corp certification. And B Corp certification evaluates multiple different areas of a business, from corporate governance to workers, to community, to sustainability, to your clients and your customers, et cetera. And so one of the areas that we really almost over-index in is on the employee front, as just one of those areas. We were Best for the World B Corp for the workers, as well as the community category last year. And I think that work of operationalizing how we work with our employees and how that shows up and how they work with our clients is a big part of that. So as an example, our core values are all over, our website. Anyway, we talk about them with our clients and meetings with them. Our proposals that are going out to prospects in our sales process talk about who we are. There's almost just as many slides on who we are, our core values, the impact work that we're doing, and who we are as a company in that process. And so there are no surprises when someone chooses to work with Avenue. They know exactly what sort of impact their dollars with us are going to have outwardly in the community, which is pretty cool. And it's also another initiative that we're working on this year of more of a one-to-one. If you think of sort of like a Tom Shoes model is like the easiest thing to think of, is you buy a pair of shoes goes back out into a developing country. And so with Avenue, we're really looking at how can we do that with what a client signs on to Avenue. How can that be almost a one-for-one impact going back out? And so we're looking into a nonprofit and grant a nonprofit or foundation that we'll be creating so that we can put dollars when a client becomes a client of Avenue. They're actually investing in more than just marketing outcomes for their business. They're actually investing in community as well.
I just want to celebrate what both of you are talking about and reflect, like one thing I hear in that really, everything that you said really resonated with me in terms of, it's less about sort of communication as though like, okay, so I had a wellness company for 10 years. I will never do that again. I remember an advisor being like, why are you leaving energy? And I'm like, I feel passionate about this. And he's like, this is a bad idea. And I'm like, he was right. It was so bad. And someone was like, wellness is racist. And I'm like, I this person is right. I remember I was like, it is like, I've got all these pictures of women laughing alone with salad. And, like, it just feels so preachy and crappy. Like what I'm doing actually doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like I'm having a conversation. It feels like I'm sitting on a high horse and telling other people what to do with their lives. And what I'm hearing both of you say, and it really resonates with me, whether it's a customer, whether it's an employee, whether it's a regulator, whether it's a VC, you're in conversation and you're constantly trying to stay in alignment. And, having been raised a girl, I want to say that and also being codependent, I'm constantly scanning other people. And I hear you talking about the kind of emotional labor that if you can build it into your culture, creates great connections and makes people want to work with you. We all know when you go to a party or an environment and somebody has been thinking about every little detail, you might not notice it consciously, but little things like you pointed out about your product, it doesn't have rough edges, right? We know quality because there are those tiny details that you don't register consciously. But I hear you both talking about just the day-to-day work and the practice of alignment and sort of cultivating this garden of relationships. And so I think doing that consciously is the best way to communicate to people. And in my particular case, I think like we just had a moment in time where I think we got very lucky as a company. I mean, listening to people's problems, of course, too, but there was a real shift. Like suddenly every single major city on the West Coast is on fire every summer. And there are literally billions of dollars coming out of the federal government. So, I mean, we didn't make that happen. Good timing helps. And when you have a customer that's in so much pain and you're just like, can I help you? They're not going to be like, no. So it's not hard to communicate that way. I think that once you have the relationship, and just having a bias toward treating all people that way, even if it has no benefit for you, really just saying no if you can't help someone. But if you do say you're going to help them, be accountable, be kind, or be open or direct or whatever your unique quality is, because 10 years later, that person's going to be your customer or your boss. And that's not why you're doing it. But I think just having that bias toward maintaining alignment with our communities, our teams is such a great way to convert people, not to preach from on high, not to be the women laughing alone with salad, but like the quiet person behind the scenes who's noticing what people need and making it happen without them asking.
Thank you. And before we switch to the business model and talk about the risk associated with creating a business with impact, let's pull from that thread. All of you mentioned culture, team environment. What would be the 3 things you recommend that we focus on? And all of you mentioned we're gonna put it on our website, but we're gonna walk the talk, right? We're gonna do what we say we're gonna do. What are the 3 things? You are a startup founder that wants to create a culture of belonging, culture driven by impact. What would you recommend anybody in the room listening will do?
Great question. So I think in terms of the culture aspect of that, for us, it's really about building a lot of trust. And our culture, I would say, while focused on impact, is also highly empathetic and supportive. And the little day-to-day interactions that we have with each other, there can be the bigger things. So we do a lot of, learning about each other's lifelines, as we call them, or stories, so that we understand. We know that our team members, not just, their partner, their spouse, or their dog, or their cat at home, but we know almost their life story. And when you know someone's life story, the amount of trust or vulnerability that you're able to give back to them is just exponential. And with that sort of culture, there's just a sense of, when we're working on a project that has impact for a client who is a certified B Corporation and they're doing something with their product, or there's just so much more buy-in with that for us, that I think for my experience at Avenue has been starting with the culture and building that ability to be vulnerable. And so that then, as we, from a company perspective, as we are introducing, where we are going as a company, our purpose, and communicating that, it is just so much more, there's so much more engagement around that. And that is what has made sort of the work that we do that much stronger over time.
I think culture, yeah, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? Everybody says that, but how do you make a good culture? I think be honest and know yourself. In my company, I grew up, I'm neurodivergent. I consider myself non-binary. I'm kind of a weirdo. In some environments, I get bullied, and I didn't enjoy that. So I wanted to create a place that would be welcoming. But that being said, I'm sure many of you can tell just by my demeanor and my energy. For some people, I'm a freaking nightmare boss, right? And for other people, like they love it. And I think for me, it was really hard in the beginning to just be honest about who I am and what I expect, and to find the people that are like, yes. And so we have sort of 3 things now that we're getting more clarity on as time goes on. And I mean, this was hard because once I was like, okay, now I know what I want, I'm going to say it. My co-founder left last October. That was rough. And it was classy. I mean, she left classy. We did it right. We worked with a coach. We were really honest with everyone, but that was freaking hard, especially because I'm now the VP of engineering, which I should not be. But luckily I have a really good technical team. And I think culture though, in communication is so key in an early stage startup in particular. And then once you get that solidified, it kind of can cruise along. But the 3 things that we do that I think are really important, and just beat that drum. I mean, it's almost cultish in a way, but whatever. We have something that we call facts-based culture: focus, accountability, and the C can stand for courage, clarity, community, whatever. T is transparency, and S is sharing. So focus, accountability, courage, transparency, and sharing. And it isn't just like, oh, these are random values. Every single month and at our all hands, everyone has to really dig deep for examples of actual observable behaviors that enhance or degrade all of those values. And then every single employee, we pick one person for each value and we share how it enhances or degrades. This was also very fun. I had the good fortune of learning nonviolent communication, which I've been practicing for years. I'd say I get it right 5% of the time, but that's better than none. And so I taught this to my team. It was incredibly awkward, remains incredibly awkward. However, every month, someone needs to bring a conflict or even a positive situation to the fore and use the NVC rubric. And in the beginning, it was always like literally a conflict someone had with me. And they're like, can I talk about this? And I'm like, sure, fine. Let's do it. And now, like, people are like, well, my neighbor was really noisy last night. And then the employees do it themselves. And I just, if they need to get unstuck, which they never do anymore, they solve it. Now they talk about conflicts with coworkers, they talk about conflicts with customers, and they're building that skill set and awareness of a way that we can all talk about conflict resolution. And the last thing I learned from Elemental Accelerator, I thought this was really awesome. It's called designed alliances. So it's this recognition that we all have different ways that we communicate, like to be managed, different things that we enjoy. So during all hands, we all had one-on-ones where we went through this designed alliance and are very intentional when a new person comes on about making sure we have a one-on-one, and we learn about, how do you like to be held accountable? How do you like to receive feedback? What feels good for you from a coworker and a supervisor? How do you like to communicate? Like Slack, email, whatever, just basic things about how people like to use their time, communicate, and work. And I think those 3 things have been I've just seen it since last October completely transform our culture.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I would say for anybody that's looking to start an impact company or social impact in your idea in your company, what I would say is, number 1, be realistic about the mission. We all want to change the world, but we need to have a particular focus, and making sure that it's feasible in your impact, right? So we can each one of us can move the dial a little bit. And really, when we're taking investor money, or when we're taking grant money, or when we're taking any money, the social responsibility that we have with that dollar is very important on our impact. So making sure that we're not over promising and under delivering. So one of the main things is that our impact is very, through consciousness of the dollar that we're using. Not only that, but really how do we continue to have the scrappiness that we had in the beginning? And that's a sense of pride, especially with engineering group. We love to take a dollar and stretch it as far as possible, including rummaging through, trash and picking out things. which we have done in the beginning phases at the Portland State Business Accelerator. A lot of companies, you know, that we've seen go through the process of starting and then ending, right? And we've been in the Portland State Business Accelerator for about 8 years now. And we've seen a lot of turnover. And with that turnover, you know, there's a lot of things that are passed on, not only items from the garbage, but also little tidbits of knowledge that were passed on. And so just having that community, really leaning on your peers to ask questions, but then also to be a sounding board for other people as we move through the journey of entrepreneurship and trying to make an impact. Because, you know, we're all in it together. And I think that the most important thing is really having the self-awareness of what you're putting out in the world.
Switching gears. Starting a startup is hard. Leading with impact before profit is twice as hard or harder. What are the risks that you're seeing associated at your businesses that it was difficult to just be able to deal with, present to investors, this is the impact we want to have, and they keep asking you, well, how are you going to make money? You want to keep hammering down the impact, the big picture, and then you are not getting the answers that you get, the support you get, because people are looking at very different set of metrics. How you overcome that, and what risk you were dealing with at the time?
Yeah, it's a great question. In terms of on the investor front, so I don't have as much perspective on the avenue's been 100% bootstrapped, so we don't have outside investors. But what I will say with regards to risks are that it is incredibly hard to do this. And I think that that's why a lot of startups and businesses just don't do that, because even just to get your business off the ground requires so much effort and so many people from the community supporting that to even think about investing back into the community right when you're trying to get off the ground, or, you know, if you have a product and you're trying to look for sustainable suppliers, but it's hard to, or it's more expensive to do that. Like, why would you do that if you can barely, you know, if the funds just aren't there to do that? And so I think that is one of the risks, is that it's just more expensive, more time consuming to do that. But in addition to that, I think there's a huge opportunity that when I think about startups disrupting an industry or disrupting just the startup environment, this is actually one of the ways to do it, because there aren't a lot of companies who are thinking about this, because it takes more time and it takes more money to do this. And with that sort of legacy, or thinking about the impact that you want to have long-term on your customers, on the community, that having this sort of mindset of what your impact is, or investing in sustainable supply chains, whatever it is, whatever the case might be, is that I think long-term, it creates a much more durable company. It is an investment in your brand. I think from a trust standpoint, a couple of things. I think the Edelman Trust Barometer for this year noted that from 70 to 90% of CEOs or people trust other companies who are investing or speaking out about causes like this. And when you think about if you employ an under 35 person in your business, most likely they care in some way, shape, or form about what your company is doing for the environment, for the community, for them as a worker. And so it's really a long-term investment in your company to be thinking about this from day one. And I think the one advantage that startups do have in implementing or operationalizing this is the fact that you're small, scrappy, and have the ability to move quickly and make changes and just make that decision. Whereas, you know, a large Fortune 500 company, it could take years to make a small change in the organization for the betterment of those employees and that community. Whereas all of you have an opportunity to tomorrow make a change and have over time incremental impact, which I think is really cool.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
You repeat the question? Absolutely. And now we're getting back to my notes. Hold on a second. Let me get caught up. I was thinking ahead of me. So embarrassing, right? Risk. The risk of launching a business in English. Thank you. Thank you.
The risk, I mean, I guess it depends on what you are risking when you start it. So for me, it was pretty like a transition from working a full-time job and also starting the company and also starting another company at the same time. So the risk was my time and my effort, right? That energy just going out the window if everything fails, but I still had my full-time job, which allowed that cushion. So it's really what are the risks that you're willing to take? And a lot of entrepreneurship is about risk taking. I think that that's what makes people who are starting their own companies so unique, is that they have a high risk tolerance. Mine happens to be pretty low. So I had to take on so many roles at one time, but the risk also is, you know, your personal belief system, right? So if you're going in for just making $1 or making money on what you're doing, then if that's something that's good for you, then go ahead and do it. But if it's something that's against your core value system, you're risking that, and you're risking not having personal integrity. And so for me, that's always been the highest risk, is chasing the money. Is that risking my personal integrity or not? Working with military and defense, I never saw myself doing it. There was a lot of cognitive dissonance through that. And the way that I internally resolved it is military has always been on the cusp of technology, right? And technology has been adapted from military to industry and to society in various ways. And so my hopes and my dreams in this career pathway, as well as this company, is to see it through and to see this technology in society and for the betterment of it.
Tanya.
That's pretty inspiring to hear. I feel like if I really tell you the truth, you'll all hate me more than you might already. I don't know. So, but this is my third company, and I probably wouldn't have left the second one. I really loved it, but it was kind of not my company. It was something we had started with an asset sale. There was a board. I think boards are the natural predators of entrepreneurs. And it got messy and horrible. And I learned a lot in the process. And so I found myself, after 3 years of grinding, being at the front of this company and being like, hell no, I am not starting another company. And then I took a job at PGE and I'm like, this is the worst. Oh my God, I hate this so. And I'm like the worst employee. I'm like so impatient. I have a very low tolerance for the inane. So like being in a monopoly is the worst possible place in the world. Yeah, I'm like a horrible employee. Just like for some people, I'm a horrible boss. Not for everybody. I like working a lot with utilities. I just don't like being inside of the utility. And so honestly, I was tired, man. I'm like 47. I'm a single parent. I had just done 3 years of grind, and like we were just taking off when the whole thing train wrecked. The very last thing in the world I wanted to do was work another 3 years at 80 hours a week for no money. Like I just was not into it, but I just didn't see a lot of other alternatives. So I did know. And you talked about investors, like looking at, and certainly plenty of investors were like, dumb idea, dumb idea, dumb idea, too much hardware, won't work, whatever. But no one is harder on me than myself. I grew up in a dysfunctional family, man. Like nobody believes less in me than myself. So there is nothing someone can say that like I haven't thought already. And there's no one that needs to be more convinced that my business will work and I can solve this problem than me. So if I'm going to take something on, I damn well better believe that it's going to work. And I just happened to be lucky enough that while I was kind of just like, fine, I guess, whatever, I'll start another company. I'll just do customer validation. Something kind of hit me in the face. And I was like, oh, whoa, cool. This is something that I could be good at. This is the problem that I'm interested in. And I went out and started looking for a technology that could solve that problem. And lo and behold, I found something, got government grants to see if that technology would work. And it's really just been in the last year that we're starting to see those results. And even then, the first time that we saw the results, and they were pretty astounding. I mean, it's a breakthrough on the level of like going from a mainframe computer to a personal computer. We've got a technology that's doing what existing building energy management systems do, 30% better at like 1/10 to 1/100th of the cost, depending on the scale. And the first time it happened, I'm like, well, maybe we were lucky. And then the next time I like couldn't sleep for 2 days. So so when somebody doesn't believe in my product, I probably like the thing that I'm having to learn is to not spend so much time really considering that. Like definitely consider it and see what's valid about their critique. But only keep what really resonates with me because I'm harder on myself than any of you could ever be. And so I think for me, the risk, I only take risks that I know or think I have a good chance of winning. And and also I was so tired that honestly, I was on a panel and someone was like, this is my third company. It probably won't be my last. And I'm like, this is my third company and it damn well better be my last. Like I'm taking this one over the finish line. And so like, I am in it to win it. I'm in it to build a big, really big, sustainable, profitable, excellent company. And that is my vision and goal. Like I'm in it to win it.
Thank you. I know that we can be here all night and continue drilling down the impact and entrepreneurship. I love what all of you talk about leading with impact. Be true to you. You have a true north, your values, right? You guys talk about not just preaching to the choir, actually doing the work, build a team, a lot of collaboration, being collaborative. I love about setting up expectations with your team and with stakeholders. This is how you like things done. This is how you're gonna be able to build consensus among the team to reach the impact that you want to have with your company, with your ambition. The human connection, all of us here, being able to connect with one another and being able to tap into our expertise and acknowledge. Trust, honesty, and overall recognize that nobody's harder in our programs and what we do than ourselves. And when we take critique, take it with a grain of salt, and it will have some validity. But then you gotta move forward, right? You gotta push it to the finish line. And I just wanna say thank you to Cara, Alex, and Riley because for the first time in many months, I've been aching to have a panel like this. Powerhouses, women entrepreneurs, they on their own right, they can stand up and say, this is what we're building in Portland, and seeing is believing. So thank you everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Cara gave me a job to do, so I just remember to see that. While we're waiting for that, I will not be doing my other job if I didn't invite you over. April 27, Badass Women Entrepreneurs, VertueLab. Go to our website. We have an amazing panel talk entrepreneurship with women and investing and impact investing. With that, I hand it over back to Q&A. Okay, perfect. Thank. Oh, okay, I thought we're done. Okay, let's fill the questions. Questions? Going once, yes. Yell it out.
How are you all now thinking about being impactful, but also considering whether or not that reception is here coming or, it's just a joke? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
It's a good, it's yeah. So I mean, we're definitely feeling shifts in just the market landscape. We haven't necessarily specifically felt like a huge downturn, but we know, something is happening out there in the market. I think the investments for me have been so worth it over time because what I've felt with Avenue specifically is the investment in the work we're doing within the community with our team has made us that much more of just a durable, engaged culture and company. And so when I think about, retention of employees, because for us, we're a service-based business, our employees are essentially our product. So the retention of our employees is super important. And because of the work we're doing, our values, our purpose, that has attracted and retained talent, which has been incredibly beneficial for then retaining clients, growing those relationships, which means we can have greater impact in the community and the other work that we're doing outside of just the digital marketing work. So I think just to answer, for me, it is an investment, but it's one that I think in a recession or a downturn actually enables us to go further faster.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I definitely take pride in hiring a good team, paying them well, and treating them very well within the company. It's definitely worrisome seeing the economic disparities, specifically in Portland, and how that affects not only the houseless, but also the individual businesses that are being affected by it. It's very unsettling, to say the least. And I think that it's a everyone problem, not just a recession problem. So it's, I think in that regard, our team specifically, even though we don't have a storefront or we haven't seen direct issues, a couple here and there, but nothing crazy. We do monthly volunteer work within the community, and that's been super important for just our core value and what we can give back.
Thank you. Alex?
I have a question. So all three of you you're all mission-driven businesses. For everyone out there that has a business that they wouldn't necessarily define as mission-driven, but they want to have an impact, what would you say are some opportunities to have an impact without having to change their whole business model necessarily, but like what are some areas of opportunity that you can identify?
Well, I know about a certain online retailer that has goods from women and BIPOC and LGBTQ folks. I think just, I hate to y'all, I buy stuff on Amazon too. Like, I'm not trying to layer on the guilt, but I do think that all of us can do a much better job of don't be lazy. Just, I know we're all busy. We're all overwhelmed. Just buy from local companies or buy less. I don't mean to be Pollyannish about it, but I do think there's a really good book called by Rebecca Solnit called A Paradise Built in Hell. Has anybody read that?
Yes.
Yes, read this book, A Paradise Built in Hell, about natural disasters and the way that communities come together through self-sufficiency and grit. And I agree with what you said, Nyah. I am deeply disturbed by economic disparity. At the same time, I go to San Francisco, within 5 minutes of each other, I had to call 911 to help a man who was overdosing. And then I saw someone in the street, defecating on himself. I'm just like, what? How can we live this way? And then the next day, I go to hire someone who came from a tech company and they're like, well, I need a starting salary of $250,000. I'm like, that's literally a quarter of what my company made all last year. Okay. And it's just, and I'm sort of like, where do you people, I don't get it. So I think just consuming less or being just a tiny bit more mindful, stop and say, do I really need this thing? Or if I do need it, can I just add a little bit more friction? I know we've gotten so used to frictionlessness, but can I add just that tiny bit more friction? Can I add more resiliency to my employee? If you have employees, work with them on building resiliency. I mean, I do feel like that to me is it's the ability to tolerate discomfort allows people to approach someone who's struggling and suffering and get into the fray with them without being disrupted themselves and trying to avoid the bad feels, that they get by dealing with issues like climate. There's nothing that annoys me more than people who are just oh my God, I give up. It's just too big. And I'm like, well, then go down fighting, man, be the person at the front of the Titanic or whatever. What, why that? So I just think a small paradigm shift to if there's nothing that can be done, then why be depressed? It's pointless to be depressed. And if there is something that can be done, then freaking do it. It's just not that hard. Don't make it hard.
Any additional questions? Right here, Michael.
There you go.
I have a question for Bobby. On detox. On average, what percentage, or that matter, is your product more expensive than a traditional plastic? So what percentage, and if it is, what can you do to drive it down?
great question, and that was, what, I know I went too fast, so. sorry about that. That's fine. Yeah. There you go. On one of the slides, I did try to put it in there and I went too fast. Sorry about that. On an average, let's say a plastic, paper, whatever, so-called compostable, whatever they label it today, it is, let's say, 10 cents. My product comes down to 30 cents on wholesale pricing. And if you hand wash that plate for whatever XYZ reasons, if you do decide to, it become much more cheaper and affordable and sustainable than what you're currently using. But yes, it comes at a cost. And that's why these products are premium products and they are used for special events and reasons, yes.
Driven down, but kind of large given one order or.
There is a landing cost, like period. You cannot go beyond that because the raw material costs, the whole supply chain costs, you cannot, I wish I could find these leaves here in California, Florida. I could bring the cost down then, but you can't. You can't work with all palm leaves. It has to be a specific type, which is a Areca palm. They can only be found in different parts of the world. So if you talk about bringing the cost down, I have looked into Vietnam, Thailand. I go there myself, and that's my new supplier because the price is a little better. That way I can provide a better priced plate, but I can't guarantee the same premium quality. So even in the leaf that we use, there are different qualities. So maybe if you want a cheaper price plate, it's not going to be as premium, higher price plate. So you have tiers of different pricing in my own tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So different pricings, different qualities.
Tanya.
Have there been any attempts to introduce that tree to the environment we have over here in North America?
Can you save me from the Department of, what is that? Where they check the seeds in the, you have contacts? Yeah. I mean, they'll put me in jail with fee and fine, so that's a great one. Yes.
We hear a collaboration in the making. All right. Excellent.
Any other questions?
For one of the,
Does your product work with the other?
repeat the question. If the product will work with other plants besides trees.
Direct capture carbon does exist for other plants besides trees. Right now, we are working on our single selection mechanism and how we would allow people to apply that to bushes or kelp. That's down the line. That's for our next steps.
Is it your customers? Is there any sort of like third party auditing of your process or something like that? But you validate.
So the question is a third party auditing of the processes, right? Okay.
There is not yet. That is the problem Cascadia Carbon is trying to solve by acting as the marketplace for individuals and corporations going here. That's why we set codex as evaluation of tons of carbon. There isn't enough oversight right now, and we're trying to be the leaders in that.
Jocelyn.
My question was about who have you looked to as your role models in the business community of other organizations or individuals that are doing this, that are building that small, impactful company that you might.
Who are your role models for all our presenters today? Role models in the community that inspires you.
Sure.
So maybe 6 months ago, I would have said Elon Musk. I'll go with David Suzuki.
Okay.
Tell me about David Suzuki.
He's a Canadian environmentalist. Supposed to very quick movement.
Okay. David Suzuki. Anybody else?
Do you have a different one or do you align with him on that?
I see leadership in all corners of the earth.
Gotcha. Thank you. For me, it's going to be Mary Kom. She's an Indian female boxer, had a very tough life. There's a documentary on her on Netflix. Not documentary, it's a Bollywood movie on her. And her struggles is what I relate to being a mompreneur. What all you have to sacrifice, what all you really have to do, what all hats do you have to wear, and how do you do it all alone, having not a lot of community around you, or even having communities but not having that feeling. So just the whole idea of that female boxer. She was a Olympic national level boxer for India. And then she underwent 2 kids, not underwent it. I'm talking about it's like a surgery. Well, it is technically a surgery, but she had 2 babies and her life flipped. And then she came back. So all about the resilience, just her whole journey. I admire it. I look up to it every day. And that's what my role model is. Who my role model is. Mary Calm, her name is.
Welcome. Thank you.
In terms of business role model, Patagonia just easily comes to mind. I think about all certified B corporations, but Patagonia specifically, if you haven't heard what Yvon Chouinard, the CEO founder of Patagonia, did last year, he essentially sold his company back to the earth so that profits are going back to reinvest in taking care of our home planet. And I think that is the top of what companies can think about doing.
Okay.
I'm just a poor white trash kid from living by a poop pond in Madison, Wisconsin. So I don't have any real, I was always very skeptical of heroes. I don't try to make anybody a hero, but I see myself as like a Jedi. Like I've got my small and scrappy crew, and you, the one who asked this, are one of these amazing conveners of that kind of community. So for me, it's like, it's always shifting and changing. It was so funny because my daughter has 2 best friends that she's had since 2nd grade. And I also have 2 best friends that I was friends with since elementary school, and we're still friends. And she said, who was the leader of your group? And I'm like, well, it always changed. It was always changing and shifting. Just like if you have a marriage or any relationship, it's always changing and shifting in its quality. So here in Portland, I was on the board for a while of Starbucks. I always try to network with other entrepreneurs as much as I'm capable of doing and build real, genuine friendships and connections with other entrepreneurs. You're not always going to have a connection, and don't fake it till you make it. Like, connect with the people that you want, but also ride through the tough times, because it's so interesting to me that now, because that's always been my orientation, 10 years later, you run into that person in the weirdest ways. So I will say when I first started my company, I was just doing this hackathon. We ended up going first, and no good deed goes unpunished. Like, we finished first. We did our project. It was very strong. There were 30 teams. It was like a 5-hour wait between the first and the last. And whoever finished first went first. So because of, I feel like, recency bias, we did not win. Like, someone who got to work on their project for 5 more hours and presented basically the same thing we did, but that's hackathons. You win by cheating. But there was a woman there who sponsored it, who was really pissed that we didn't win, and was like, this is crazy. They were clearly the best. And whatever on all that. I didn't care. I was like, it's just for fun. But 3 months later, her company, a utility in the Bay Area, issued an RFP for $100,000. I did not have a pot to piss in at this point in my business. I had absolutely nothing. I had no right to go after $100,000, but I found a technologist who did have a technology, and I said, I'll do the marketing and the customer validation, and you do the technology, and we'll go after this together. And we won it. And we won it because she remembered me from that hackathon. That launched my business. It gave us credibility. It gave us money. And now she came back to me a couple months ago, and she said, I'm starting a company. I like the company idea. And she's like, can I put you? And I'm like, yes. Will you? Yes. Can't anything she asks, I'm just like, yes. So, the student, the teacher, who's the leader in your group, it changes all the time. And for me, those are the people that are my heroes, are the ones who are in the trenches with me. They're not in it for a buck. They're not in it to burnish their reputation. They're not fair weather friends. They were there with me from the get-go. And when they need me, I'm just going to say yes to whatever they ask me to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, mine is similar. I really, really look up to the professors that have mentored me through undergrad and that now are my subcontractors. Which is kind of fun, but also we have a very tight working relationship. So the dynamic is more peers, but I still look up to them, call them professor or doctor, try to have the utmost respect for them. And so I look up to them so much. Their opinion and their feedback matter deeply to me. And it allows for me to do my best every single day, putting my best foot forward, not only for the company, but for that relationship. And I've known them since 2008. So it's been a really long and fruitful relationship. And I look up to them.
Thank you. Now I have an assignment for you. You're a storyteller. Go tell the story. You are an engineer, a scientist, build it. Whatever you're thinking that has an impact, build it. If you're a generalist and a doer, go ahead and help and get it done. And before you go today, make sure that you connect with somebody. Make sure you walk away with a number and invite them for coffee. With that, Tanya, Anna, Nyah, thank you so much.
Thank you so, is it on? Thank you so much to all of you guys. I have to say, like, one of the best parts of these things is that everything that everyone said tonight is so energizing. And as you all know, it takes a lot of energy to run a business. And so all of these things, like, also just take all of that, like, you need it. You need the motivation, you need the inspiration that we got. So thank you so much for giving us that. I know I need it, so I appreciate it. So this is it. And we only have a few more minutes before the bar is closing. So before you all leave, make sure to hit up the bar. Make sure to hit up Hence Farms over here. They've got something cool is happening. Something cool is happening. Okay.